Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. I realize I am probably the last car reviewer on YouTube to feature the 2021 RAM TRX, and there's a ton of videos out there. But we're still going to take a look at this truck and some of the interesting features, especially one particular feature that comes if the TRX is equipped with the towing package. And we'll get out on the road and have some fun because this one is broken and it has over 500 miles on it. So maybe we'll launch it. I'm not sure because it is wet out there, and even though yes, it's all-wheel drive, I still don't want to take a chance of damaging somebody's $90,000+ truck. In fact, these trucks start around $72,000. And I will put on the screen a screenshot of what I did on Ram's website trying to get the price as high as I possibly could, just to kind of show how high it could go on one of these trucks and just have a little fun with that. And of course, we'll get out and just do our typical test drive, have some fun. But I tell you what, I have been very impressed with how this truck performs. And it's really the ultimate multitasker because it has all of the features and the functionality of a truck, but it also has the capability to surprise anybody on the road who doesn't necessarily know what they're looking at. Now, one thing I must say that I really like, even though this is a federally mandated feature, that's why on the Ford Raptors you see the orange lights right here on the top of the grille. Well, instead you have them right here, and I think that's really a far better place with this hood scoop right here because it almost just looks like nostrils to me. And why wouldn't it? You know, because obviously Ram created this truck to go after the Ford Raptor. And if you haven't happened to have seen any other videos on the TRX, Ram has not been shy at all as to why they created this truck. Let me show you what I mean. And here under the hood, directly out of the Hellcat Charger, is the 6.2-liter supercharged V8, 702 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is an all-wheel drive truck. Probably a good thing because with that kind of horsepower, it wouldn't take much to boil the tires, even unintentionally. Gas mileage, well, it's low. Let's just put it that way. In fact, the owner of this particular model, who drives a lot like I do, doesn't keep his foot out of it too terribly often. He says he's getting 8 miles to the gallon. And Ram says that 0 to 60 is supposed to be, I believe, 4.5 seconds, although other people have tested and done 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds and even under that. Now, like I said, I don't know if we're going to do that today. We might do that in a future video when it's good and dry outside. We'll see. But what was I talking about when I said that Ram is not shy about why they built this truck? There's actually 2 different places where you see this. One is right here under the hood, and normally there's a cover right here. I don't know why that's even there to begin with, but as you can see, the owner of this particular truck has just removed it. That's what I would do too. But if you remove it right here, you will see a picture of a T-Rex eating a Raptor, going after a Raptor. And it's not only here on the front cowl right here, but it's also inside of the console. I'll give you a video or a view of that, a picture of that. But I tell you what, I think that is pretty cool. And being that today's video is sponsored by the company that the owner of this truck owns, Lux Auto Concepts, home of the light wrap, well, since they do vehicle wraps and all kinds of other great kits for smoking your tail lights out and just all kinds of different things. The link to their website is down in the description of the video. I would imagine that you are going to see maybe a few more images on the exterior of the truck that kind of mimic what we see right here. At least I hope that's what's going to happen. I'm dropping hints maybe, but we'll see how that goes. There is actually a wrap coming for this particular truck. I will show you what that looks like on the screen, and we'll do another video down the road once it's been wrapped. And actually, after dark, it will actually have some features in it, such as a T-Rex and all kinds of different things that you won't be able to see without the ability of actually taking a picture and seeing light on it, basically a flash. So it'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. But I do want to show you a couple of other interesting features on this truck. It never fails that if I don't mention it, somebody will ask me in the comments if the vehicle that I'm featuring in that particular video has turn signal indicators built into the side view mirrors. Well, obviously I don't have to answer that question today. You can see for yourself. But like I said, there's an interesting feature that this truck has that I found pretty interesting because it has the towing package, and it's the fact that it has towing mirrors, but not like you would expect. How about that? That's interesting. It looks more like a mirror on an F-150 or maybe a Chevrolet 2500 now, but the cool thing is that you can change the position if you want to, depending on what your situation is. It's a little bit hard to get those down. And there's one other thing that the owner of this truck told me about that if you plan to buy one of these, you might want to know about as well. Now, this truck does sit a little bit higher off the ground, not terribly. It's not too hard to get in and out of, but depending on what your ultimate desire and goals are for your truck, if you're going to buy one of these, might determine what you have right here. You can have the bar that protects the rocker panels and all that kind of stuff down here. It really doesn't function as a step. It's not really meant to, and it's too small to begin with. But if you don't plan on doing any off-roading or anything that's going to really cause anything to potentially damage this area of the truck, you can opt for the power side steps, which this model has had installed. They're not activated yet. The owner still needs to take those to the dealership to do that, so I can't show them to you in action just yet, but I'm sure you've probably seen that. Now, for you keen-eyed observers out there, you might notice that this logo on the driver's side is different than this logo on the passenger side. Well, what could be easier when you have the facilities at Lux Auto Concepts at your disposal? Now, for those who may not be familiar with these Ram trucks, especially one of these that sits above stock ride height, this is a really cool feature. You've got a bed step right underneath here. You know, it's not like the GMCs and the Chevrolets that have the built-in step into the bumper that you just kind of put your foot into. I'll show you a couple of different views of how this works. Let's see if I can do this from this angle. But there it is right there. That is so nice. I like that personally. I think that's a pretty neat feature. I'm kind of surprised it's not on both sides. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I think that's pretty cool. The interesting thing is that even though it's really easy to stow back under the bumper, if you don't know, well, it might seem a little challenging, and I'll show you on the screen how that works again from a different angle, because it'll probably be kind of hard to see from this angle, but all you do is basically just kick it from the back, and there it goes right on in. Okay guys, we're gonna start the truck up real quick here. Let me do that one more time. I just think it is so cool. My racing ear hears things that most people won't hear, but you can actually hear sounds with this motor that just scream horsepower. Kind of that little squeak you hear at the beginning, that's actually the valves, related to the valves at least. You can kind of, if you know what you're listening for, you can just hear the size of the cam of this motor. Maybe you can hear it, maybe you can't. We'll see. That little kind of squeaky sound at the very beginning is just awesome. Now, again, I'm not going to go over everything because I know a lot of people have in other videos. Of course, it has a panoramic sunroof, and we're going to take advantage of that in just a little while because there is information you can get. Let me show you the screen right here. You've got driving modes, which as you can see, you have multiple driving modes. What exactly are they? Well, you can let the truck choose for you with auto. You've got snow, you've got tow, and you've got sport. And of course, under performance, that is where some very interesting features are found, and that's where the panoramic sunroof is going to come in very handy during our test drive. Let me let this load up. So here's what you have right here. You have dashboard, you have timers, gauges, G-force, and dyno. So basically, what exactly is a dyno? If you're not familiar with a dyno or a dynamometer, it measures the horsepower and the torque of the engine. And the very interesting thing that you have here is that it gives you that information on the screen as you're driving down the road, or if you just hit the gas pedal when you're sitting still like this. I could do that all day long and really enjoy myself. This is so cool. The truck does have launch mode, which is very easy to activate. You have a button right here that has a Christmas tree on it. If you're not familiar with a Christmas tree, it's a starting line device to let people know when to leave the starting line in the sport of drag racing. And basically all you do is you've got to be in drive, you push that button, you mat the brake, then you mat the gas, and you go. You let go of the brake and off you go. And the cool thing about it, I believe the default launch RPM is 1400, but you can actually reset that if you want to, depending on conditions and what you want to do. If you want to try and get a better time on your 0 to 60 or whatever you might be doing. And of course, it gives you all of that here on the screen, which is pretty cool. We're going to use a draggy if we can get out on the road and do that in this particular video. We'll find out. In fact, we'll get out and do our test drive right now. Okay guys, let me just show you something that I know the owner likes about this truck, so I figured I'd show it off. Obviously, you've got the typical glove box down here in the conventional location. You've got the TRX logo here on what is ultimately the upper glove box. Push that button, that opens right up. A little bit of space in there, just kind of a nice little feature, and I like the fact that you don't have to hold it open like you do on some other models of trucks. Let's kill two birds with one stone, a 0 to 60, and you can see what happens on the screen. Now, I don't have the chance to look at the screen, but you can see it. But I'm going to tell you what, that was impressive. For a truck to take off that hard, wow. And it being all-wheel drive, of course, no tire spin, great traction, but my goodness, that is cool. It'd be so fun to take somebody out and say, it's just got exhaust on it. It's nothing more than that, and then kind of surprise them. Okay, here we go. 0 to 60. I'll let you see what it looks like from my perspective, at least with me doing this. Let's see. I think that was probably better than the first pull, which was a 474, 4.74 seconds. If you don't know what that actually means, that's drag racing jargon for elapsed time. So there's a lot of people out there that will say if you ran 4.65 seconds in a 0 to 60 that you ran a 4.6. Well, in drag racing, we actually pronounce it the same way you would time on a clock. So I guess maybe I'm old school in that, I don't know, but that's what I do. So anyway, what is my overall driving impression of this truck? Well, to say the least, I have had a blast. This truck will pin you back in the seat, as you saw, and being all-wheel drive, it's still got a little bit of tire spin taking off there. This is one fun truck to drive. I am just blown away by what Ram has done here. And this is the ultimate multitasking truck, in my opinion. You can still have the same functionality and usability of a truck. You can also do this. Goodness, I mean, that just sounds so good. And just in case you happen to drive one of these, maybe from the dealership, and you're wondering why you're not hearing the whine of the supercharger, it's got to be in sport mode to get that. So obviously, acceleration is great. Steering, handling, well, it's good. It's a truck, so it's not going to handle like a sports car or anything like that, but still the steering is good and tight. Steering wheel is comfortable. And just everything's easy to figure out here within the truck. I just like having this kind of fun. What more fun can you have than dropping the hammer on a 702 horsepower engine? And even when you start to slow down, we'll see if you can hear it. You still get a great exhaust note. See if we can keep the RPM up enough. Let's see what happens here, if you can hear it. those downshifts. Even though there's no downshift crackles, I wouldn't really expect that here. If you watch me regularly, you'll know that the downshift crackles come from typically having a shorter exhaust. You can modify the exhaust to get that, but if you want it to come with stock exhaust, if you can call it such a thing, on a high-performance vehicle such as a Mercedes-Benz AMG or whatever the case may be, well, that shorter exhaust gives it to you. And of course, you can do things to help with that, but overall, I must say, I'm very impressed here. Now I've got to go to the gas station and spend a little money to put some gas back into the tank of my friend's truck, because wow, have I used some up just doing things like that. And that is a quick tour of the 2021 RAM TRX. I hope maybe I showed a few things that maybe others haven't shown in their videos, or maybe if this is the first time you've seen a video on this truck, I hope you got what you wanted out of it. Got to say a special thanks to the owner of this truck, and of course Lux Auto Concepts, for sponsoring today's video. If you enjoyed this video, guys, help me out by hitting the like button, leave a comment, and feel free to share this video. I always enjoy the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.